good service, and there are also major plans for London. There's an extension under construction from Enfield to Hertford, which actually opened as far as Cuffley in 1910. There are also plans, which ultimately came to nothing, to widen the line out to 4 tracks all the way from Bowes Park to Gordon Hill. And this was part of a scheme that would involve the electrification of the inner suburban services. This was scotched by the First World War, in fact. The only station which has 4 platforms is Gordon Hill, which was built with 4 platforms in anticipation of the widening. Some of the surplus land that was bought for the widening at Palmer's Green Station has in recent years been put to use as a car park. So that land certainly wasn't bought for car park purposes. The company kept a sharp eye on potential building developments which could bring in new traffic. The local press announced in 1908 a new station between Winchmore Hill and Enfield to serve Richard Metherell's Old Park Grange estate. The station opened in 1910 on the same day as the Cuffley extension. It's the present Grange Park station. And in fact, it's still got a more than slightly Wild West quality about it. The original wooden platforms have been replaced in concrete, but it certainly has a slightly flimsy look about it. I wouldn't like to wait for a train there late at night on a cold, wet night. It could be quite unpleasant, I think. The local papers appeared are full of letters complaining about various aspects of the railway service. Most of the complaints were fairly minor. There was one corresponding in March 1909 who clearly intensely disliked the people he was forced to share a compartment with on his way to work. So I wanted to get away from the ceaseless chatter about pruning roses and billiard breaks which fills the carriage of the 8 AM train from Palmer's Green. August 1911, another correspondent complained about foul language used by the porters at Palmer's Green Station. The nature of the offence is not specified, so there could have been extenuating circumstances, like the man just dropped a loaded milk churn on his foot. We'll never know, of course. But despite these rumblings, the area appears to have got a reasonably good deal from the railway company. The tram tracks were rapidly extending northwards, reaching Winchmore Hill in 1907, where the Green Dragon pub was very convenient as a temporary terminus. I'm afraid, though, the improved transport facilities were not entirely popular in the area. Quite a few Winchmore Hill insomniacs wrote to the Southgate Recorder complaining about the noise of late-night tram cars keeping them awake. Now, I'm too young to have any real memories of London trams, but I certainly remember seeing my father's home city, Glasgow, and I think these complaints might have had some substance. The trams were certainly not the quietest form of transport. You've got the grinding from the rails and whine from the electric motors. So I would think the Winchmore people who complained may have had right on their side. Summer of 1908, Wimpey's were given a contract to complete the line onto Enfield Town for a price of £40,220. The old main road over Bush Hill was too steep for the tram, so what had originally been residential roads, Ridge Avenue, Park Avenue and Village Road were upgraded to take the tram tracks. Those who know that stretch of road will be well aware that the road is unusually wide here. The reason was this is the extra space allowed in the crown of the road where the tram tracks used to go. There is in fact a tangible relic of that tramway that's not immediately recognisable as such. Well, the tramways at Enfield Town opened in 1912. And it might interest you, as recently as 1971, I was working at the Ridge Avenue Library at Bush Hill Parade. One of our borrowers there, who was a man in his late 80s, he was actually the man who had driven the first tram car into Enfield Town and had a photograph to prove it. And the first section of the road to be tarred was a stretch of green lanes at Winchmore Hill Broadway. That was dealt with in the summer of 1906. And the council work must have pitched the hottest day of the year to work. And there was a rash of complaints from the owners of the brand new shops who had sort of tar trodden all over the floors. Now, Cars were not universally popular. One who was not too keen was Mr. W.T. Pauling, the wealthy brewer, man Croston and Paul, who lived at a house called Broadfields in Wades Hill. He wrote to the local paper to say that the whole neighbourhood is being ruined for the sake of 2 or 3 motor cars which are a public nuisance. Clearly wasn't too pleased. There was a Mr. Fox Lane resident in 1912 wrote to complain about the dangers of speeding cars. It's amazing though, how reactions obviously get sharper as traffic gets faster. People actually used to get knocked down by horse-drawn vehicles, which today you probably find rather hard to believe. But obviously there comes a point when sharp reactions aren't quite enough. And in the autumn of 1913, in the Southgate Record, there's a report of a court case. One Samuel Edward Bicknell from Archway Road was fined 40 shillings for driving at 33 miles per hour along green lanes. Mr. Bicknell's thoughts on this occasion unfortunately went unrecorded.